Alright guys, so I got some more parts now in. Oil pressure gauge, a new battery, an extra belt. This is an extra cheap belt, just in case for some reason I have a problem with it breaking belts or something. I can put that on there until I figure out what the problem is or something. Went ahead and got some paint. They didn't have the hardener for the paint, so I might have to spray it like that. It just won't hold up as good. I did get the plastic wheel bearings or bushings in for the front wheels. A shifter knob, the correct flat idler pulley, a couple more ball joints, and cables for the battery, and 2 new tires for the front. That's about the best deal you can get on them. Already mounted on the rim too. It comes with the spacers and everything, the bushings and stuff. Not too crazy about the regular turf tread. I'd rather had the straight tread like this or something like what's on the back, but it'll work for now. I can always change that later, but anything is going to be an improvement. And I think these might just be just a little bit taller than these, so that'll kind of lift the front end up just a little bit too. So I want to get that done first. That's top priority, and the ball joint on each end that I couldn't get to earlier because I ran out of the right size. And I want to get the throttle control set up. The one I got on here right now just sitting here. There's no good way to anchor it, and I want to get the battery put in it. And then from there, still got to mount the seat and work on the blade. Can't decide to take it off. I am going to try to redo this, and we got to build a hood for it somehow. I think I'm going to have to put a longer pipe to space the exhaust out. That way the hood won't interfere with that. It needs to come over at least 3 or 4 inches to clear that without having to cut it out or something for that. Also got a choke cable or a stop cable, which it ain't going to be used to stop it, which is another thing I want to talk about. I want to hook that into the compression release. That way, if for some reason the starter is dragging, I can, hit that and make it easier than let it go. Get a little bit of momentum first. In that one video, you see me shut it off like this. And while that's fine to do occasionally, it's not really intended for that. And it actually can cause valve damage. But it's holding the exhaust valve open when you do that. So then you get the cool air hitting that exhaust valve and the valve seat. So it can actually cause valve damage and valve seat damage as well. So you want to do that only in an emergency, or if you just start it up and you got a problem, you got to shut it off or something, But it's not something to use all the time. I'm going to be a little tight here on the battery. It's going to have to go either long ways like this or like this. I'm going to have to make some type of bracket, and I got to stay away from that pulley over here. Looking at that, I think I still got the wrong pulley. I think the one I got now is too big. This one ain't wore out completely, so I might just leave it alone for right now. That's what we got now. I want to get everything done first and then start painting. Painting's going to be the last thing. I just want to go ahead and get it while I could get it. I don't think it'll look too bad with that type of tread. It even comes with air in it. Here's the bearing, bushing, wheel spacer kit that comes with it. It's made for 5/8 or 3/4 axle. This is a 5/8 axle. And but yeah, these are $39 a piece, already on the rim, even with air in it, with the bearings included. And valve stem almost looks like a tube, but it's not. It's a. But yeah, I just want to show you this before I put it on there. It's almost the same size. Actually, it is. So I think it's going to work perfect. So it's going to work. I had a little minor issue with the spacers. I had to cut that much off of it and then grind that down just a little bit in order to get enough clearance. Because it's got a collar that goes on there to lock it. So that's what I needed for that. Alright guys, let me get you updated. I try to save some of this to keep the video from so long and make it a little less boring for you. Got the new wheels on there, tires and rims, and put new outer ball joints or tie rod ends, whatever you want to call them. Adjusted it the best I could, and it seemed like I got better steering now. There's a lot less play in it. This plate right here is in the gears itself, and I can't really do nothing about that. I got can see there. The problem before, it would turn more in one direction than it would the other. I think a lot of that was this side over here was wore completely out, so I'm thinking that'll help that a lot. At least I hope it does. Next thing I'm going to do, I gotta make sure that knob fits the shifter. Something like that bugs me. Then, and of course, it's a completely different size, so that ain't going to work. I'll see if I can find one though. Definitely need one. Alright, so here's the throttle control I went with. Pretty standard throttle control. The way I got this set, this don't have a shut-off switch, so like when you turn the ignition off, it's going to keep running because it don't have a electric solenoid or anything on the injector pump or injector or anything. You turn the throttle all the way down past idle, and it'll basically just shut the fuel off to the engine. It'll shut off. But so that'd be full throttle. I got it set all the way down, so when it bottoms out, that's going to be off. And so right now, you can see it's set for off. Start giving it throttle, and I'm getting tension on the cable, so I know that's maximum full throttle. And put it all the way back down, it'll shut it off. And this knob would be like for a tiller or a generator or something. You could manually set it with this and just tighten that down. It'll stay at whatever RPM you got set. For this, we're just going to leave that loose. A lot of people have been taking that off. You see there's a little cotter pin on that shaft right there, and you can just remove that if you need to. But I took the belt off just so I knew it wouldn't jump in gear on me. But it looks a lot better than the way I had it. And you could put a clamp right here. I might do that eventually, just to hold that right there. And you want to make sure you're not going to hit no wires or anything with it. I probably will do that at some point. Alright guys, I got the battery in here. The ground or neutral is pretty simple. I just ran it over to one of the old muffler bolts. The positive from the solenoid, run over here to the positive on the battery. The battery's just sitting here right now. Everything's really a real tight fit here. I'm going to put a couple zip ties around it. I think it's going to be good enough to hold, and that's about my only option. But I haven't tried to start it yet. This is actually a 300 cranking amp battery. It's not the, it's the $30 one instead of the $20 one, put it that way. But anyway, let's see what happens. Let's just try to start it. I'm not going to use the compression release. I want to see if it'll crank up without it. And it would have started if I'd throttled it up a little bit. Alright guys, I thought I'd sneak in another cold start on this video. This is the next morning after putting the battery in it and a couple other things, and new tires on it. It got down pretty cold last night. It's the first week of May when I'm filming this video right now. I know my videos are pretty well behind, or pretty far behind from when I upload them and everything, but I try to get one thing completely done before I start uploading the videos. But anyway, I got down to almost 30 last night, and I'm getting, that can't be right. I'm getting about 28, 30 degrees on the block, so it's going to vary a little bit there. Just it hasn't been started since last night. So you can see the sump's about 36 or 2.3 Celsius. The cylinder about 37. Exhaust 37. So about in the 30 range. I figured it'd be interesting to see it start up, especially the electric start, and it seems to be cranking good without the compression release. Figure you want to see the exhaust. That's going to be the most entertaining part, I guess. I'm going to set the throttle to about quarter to mid. Alright guys, so I'm ready to start working on what I'm calling the front grille and hood, which really ain't going to be a hood. There just ain't no way to do it with this big of an engine. Now if I had a little 5 horsepower sitting on here, it'd be half the size of that. Yeah, I could make a full hood just like on a regular riding lawnmower, but with this big an engine, there's just not going to be no way of doing it. And besides, the engine's offset from where the hood would have originally went, and the steering wheel's in the way too, so that's going to be an issue. But I think I got it figured out. You see the 2 original hood mounts here. I'm going to build that's right at 12 inches. So I'm going to build a 12-inch frame up to 24, so 12 by 24. That'll bring it up to about right here. And I got some corrugated steel I'm going to fill it in with. I'm going to run a support off of here using an angle iron. Just run it in line with this and tie it in here and weld it in. And that'll give me a place to put a brace on the exhaust here too, because it's going to be right in line with where it's at. So that'll be good for that too. That'll give me a little bit of support in case this does hit something. It'll hopefully just damage the muffler and not the block of the engine or anything. But I'm not going to show this every step of the way because I don't have a good way of showing all this metal work on camera. It's just, it'll slow me down too, and I'm on a limited amount of time right now, so I'm just going to kind of hit and miss on this, so just bear with me guys. My more detailed videos are the engine rebuilds and stuff like that. This is more of a kind of like what I'm doing kind of a project, so I hope you understand that, and I'll try to show as much as I can without making it boring or too long. Alright, so I got it set up here. Kind of see how it's going to go together. Getting ready to weld it, just wanted to show you a little bit right before I get started. Alright, so here it is. I got it all done, just hasn't been painted yet. I actually got pretty good welds on it. Not the best, but it's that flux core welder I converted to DC. And just weld that in there. So this is going to go like this, right in between those 2 brackets. So I'm going to go ahead and get started mounting that. It's actually kind of heavy for these so small. It took me about an hour and a half to make that. Alright guys, it's on there. It's not exactly how I planned it, but I think it'll work. And this top brace is actually kind of serving as a belt guard or a belt shield in a way. I could fill this in on the side here if I wanted to protect that belt and keep getting your hand or something stuck in there. So that's something I might do later on if I think it's necessary. Got 2 bolts here and 1 bolt up here. I was going to put 2 on each side, but didn't really have room. I ended up having to make a little brace right here tied into the motor. And that bolt right there felt like it was going to strip out, so it probably won't hold too much load, but it really stiffened it up. So hopefully it'll at least serve the purpose for right now. But you can see I can't bend this at all. So it's pretty strong. But it's probably not the best way to tie it to the motor like that, but didn't really have much choice. But I think it'll be alright. I guess I could run one down at an angle like that instead, but we'll just see how it goes for right now. It's going to be all taken apart anyway. Now you can kind of see what I was talking about. Putting a brace right here on the exhaust coming down here. The way I'm going to do this, I want to weld it to the elbow and make a bolt on here so this can be taken off. I think that'd be the best way of doing that. I apologize if I'm not showing enough detail or if I'm showing too much. I'm trying to keep the video short and as less boring as possible. So just bear with me guys. It's one of them videos you think, oh, it won't take no time to make, and you get started on it and this is taking forever. Alright guys, I want to show you the brace I came up with for the exhaust. And a decent weld on it. And it comes down here and just ties everything together. And like I said, I got 2 bolts back here and everything's solid. Real solid. You can't move it at all, you know. Next thing I'm going to do, somebody just use like a handlebar bolt there on that, and it's got a lot of slop and everything, so I'm going to try to probably just reuse this and probably this blue piece too. But I do want to come up with a little bit better shifter knob, or if I could just find a knob to put on this if the threads are any good. That would work too. That's not my weld there, that's somebody else's. So I might just think about just cutting this off. And I want to make a some type of linkage that I can come off of here and hook into these, I'm thinking, and see if use that to set the different heights of the blade instead of having to deal with the ratchet strap and everything, which gets very annoying. But I don't know how exactly I'm going to do that yet. I got to mount the seat. I just got one bolt holding it in place just for testing, and it's annoying. This is actually a Kubota seat. It was given to me a long time ago. It's got a couple tears in it, but it's good enough for just this. I can get a better one later on if I think it's necessary. And I want to get the headlights mounted, which are just going to be fog lights, LED fog lights. Like I said, I'm going to try to do some stuff off camera to speed the video up. I know it's going to be a 2 or 3 part video, so I want this, the headlights, and the seat. Then I think it'll be ready for paint unless I decide to come up with some type of like hood or something here, which I can't decide how I'm going to do that. I might just leave it like this. So the original seat had tracks that molded this frame right here. That way you could adjust the seat. But for some reason I can't find them. I can't remember what I did with them. And the seat I had on there, the bolt pattern is completely different. But it matches the bolt pattern on this. So, kind of see what I'm doing here. I'm going to make this bracket here that bolts on there. That way I can put this, fold up seat and try to put the springs on the back. That way it's got just a little bit of suspension to it. I think it'll work. So I'm going to go ahead and get this bolted up and drilled and everything, and we'll look at it here in a minute. Alright, the seat's done. Had a little bit of spring on. I'm going to get some better springs later on. And also, it took me about 3 hours to do all this. I redid all this. I welded the spacer to the blue piece, and just redid all this with new bolts, and came up with the latch using the existing thing here. And now you can drop it all the way down. You can bend down this and pop it out in case you need to let it float completely. If you pull it up, it'll last right in. I don't know how long it's going to hold up, but it's something for right now. It's about the best I could come up with. And as you see, I redid the knob. The knob that wouldn't fit on the shifter, I found a bolt and welded it to the part of the shaft that I cut off the steering wheel shaft. Welded on here with a better weld than what they had, and made it a little bit longer so you get just a little bit more leverage with it. I rounded both ends on that just to dress it up a little bit. Now I'm going to get ready to put the headlights on, or fog lights I'm using as headlights. I still got to put a tie down on the battery, and I think that's going to be about all I can do at the moment. I'm thinking about getting that cover for that after all. It's kind of bugging me.